whenever I got hurt, I saw him in the hallway one day, and I was like, I wish I can give you more. I wish I can give you all the plays that I've given, Coach Frank Wright, Coach Eberflus in the past. I wish I can do that more for Coach Saturday. But not even talking about myself. Yes, I think he's the guy.
Here we go. I know I said that I was going to do some clips and stuff on the IU game. I'm not going to do that. Trace Jackson Davis did it. He played really well. I think he had 18 points, 24 rebounds, and then Hutzfino had 6 turnovers, and they were big turnovers, but he ended up scoring like 34 points. So, and Indiana out the shot Nebraska. It was Indiana was shooting 50% behind the arc, shooting 54% around the rim. So, and then Nebraska, I think, was at 45 and 46 or something like that. Um, it really had to do with the turnovers, rebounding, even though Trace Jackson Davis got a lot of rebounds. They got second chance points in quite a few of them, and they hit a lot of free throws. So that game was legitimately won and lost in turnovers. So the Colts game, I briefly posted something about it. Colts do lose. There was a lot of good and a lot of bad during that game. I'm going to leave a video at the end of this. It's going to be basically Jeff Saturday's interview for a coach position. So, and we got a lot of the players' views on Jeff Saturday, or some, and then as well as some of the questions that needed, I think, to be asked to Jeff Saturday. I honestly think the way that he was answering some of these questions, he knows something that we don't, and I think he's going to be the head coach next year. Yeah, I even believe he's going to be signed probably for a 1 year contract. That way, we're not tied into a full year contract. They're going to work something out with him, I believe. Um, on that note, Jim Harbaugh released a statement. He basically made the statement that he is going to be the coach of Michigan next year, and that is kind of that. He did not really shoot down any of the rumors going around saying that he was interested in coaching in the NFL. He didn't really shoot that down, but he did say he would be at Michigan next year. So I'm going to leave a little post on that as well at the end of this. But I'm going to make this short and sweet. I believe Saturday is going to be the coach, and there's going to be some changes if he is. So now to the video. Hopefully you guys like. If you like, please subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, and hit the bell. I tried to go live the other day. It didn't work out. I'm still trying to figure this out. However, please subscribe if you're not subscribed. Please like if you like. If you don't like, I know there's a video down there that I've already done that you might like. So you all have a good one. Let's catch you on the next one.
And go out there and you play hard.
Is Jeff Saturday the coach for this team?
Oh, I definitely do think Jeff Saturday is a great coach. I think I mentioned to you guys before the passion that he has, not only for the game, but for this organization, as far as just wanting to make sure this organization is in the best position for success, utilizing the coaching staff, utilizing the front office, and then helping the players. That's all he wants. He wants the Indianapolis Colts to be a dominant force in the NFL. That's all Jeff Saturday wants.
Is that what you want? Would you like to be here on a long-term deal?
Oh, I'd love to be in Indy, 100%.
Do you want to see Jeff Saturday back next year? What's your take on that?
I would give everything I got for Coach Saturday. It's a guy that loves competing, loves the passion for the game. He's a very intentional guy, if you guys don't know that yet. Very intentional guy. I think this organization would love, this community would love a guy like Jeff Saturday Coach Saturday, to have as a head coach. I think
we obviously didn't see enough of him, behind, who he really is. But just off an initial first team meeting, I was like, oh, yeah, let's go. But, whenever I got hurt, I saw him in the hallway one day, and I was like, I wish I can give you more. I wish I can give you all the plays that I've given, Coach Frank Wright, Coach Eberflus in the past. I wish I can do that more for Coach Saturday. But not even talking about myself, yes, I think he's the guy.
Thing in my will to help this team and this organization win. Jeff had did a phenomenal job of true accountability, holding guys accountable, and I love the way that he leads. I love the way that he brought this team together, and people got to understand, man. He was brought in, I think week 8, if I'm not mistaken. He did not know these coaches from the can of paint, so he's still learning stuff like that. I think if you give him a full season, with coaches, a full year with coaches, a whole off season, to learn everything. I think he'd be a great coach, man. And the way that he carry himself, the way he hold guys to a high standard, don't care who you are, no matter who it is, he's on you. And that's type of leadership you need as a head man, of not shying away from, stepping on toes or, making guys feel uncomfortable. And I love that from a coach. I love when coaches are on guys and, pushing them to be their best, man. And that's what we need.
Just want to say it's been a true honor to be able to represent this team these past 8 games. I've really appreciated all the staff, the organization as a whole. In the team meeting today, I brought everybody in and just made sure they all understood how much I appreciated the effort in a very difficult circumstance, how many of them worked to make the best of a tough situation. So, and also want to make a big shout out to our fans. I don't get a time usually to talk about these fans, but yesterday the place was crowded. It was loud. I was grateful for them just being there. Again, it never seems to amaze me at how much Colts fans bleed blue, stick with us, battle with us. Again, in a situation that was unfortunate, but man, I'm grateful for them. So
maybe when we were here on day one.
Expectations, I knew it was going to be tough. Looking back and just a quick reflection, right, of the last 24 hours or whatever it's been, an incredible learning experience so far. I have learned a ton. And again, I think the way you frame things and the way you respond to difficulties matters in life. And hopefully I've represented myself the way I should in these tough times. But I've learned.
With what you've learned or gone through maybe over the last 8 weeks, has it changed your mind? You still want this full time?
It has not changed my mind. If I get this job, there's going to be significant change. The way I do things is not the way things, necessarily have been done. I have my own way. And so I think that's the part that, as you're thinking about the way you want to run an organization as the head coach, that would be my responsibility. When I came in, I'm thrust into how things have been done, for the past however many years. And I'm appreciative of that and the work that they've done and the success that they've had, but it will look different. And so, understanding that's been part of my learning lesson, chap, right? Is I've looked at the things that I really like about what we do and the things that I don't necessarily like that we do. And there has to be, to lead an organization, there has to be alignment from all of us, from Mr. Irsay and Ballard and myself and the entire organization of how this thing looks. And as a leader, if you don't have that, I don't think you'd be effective. And so on the last 8 weeks as incredible value that I can learn what I want to do and what I don't want to do and how to make those changes. And I think it gives me a very unique perspective that hopefully I can use to better the team, better the organization.
You do interview, if you do land a job, do you expect to be working with Chris Ballard in the same capacity?
I'm imagining. That's been Irsay, and when I talk to Chris has been great since I've been here. He and I have worked together, I guess as much as you can as a head coach GM in this flux. But man, he's been great to me, worked hard to help me. And so that would be my assumption. Again, that's way above my pay grade. I don't have any say in that. That's a great question, and one I'm going to hold tight to the vest. Hopefully that sets me apart, is what I will bring to that. And listen, I have a very clear vision of how I can turn this football team around. And I have a plan of attack that I understand this is what I believe has to happen for us to turn a corner. And so I'm not one that wavers. I'm not one that gets disjointed, very, very quickly. I'm pretty steadfast, and I think I've shown that in the way that we're gonna operate. There are gonna be principles of this team. I can just generally, from a practice perspective, what does this thing look like? From a schedule perspective, what does it look like? From, an organization, what does the alignment look like? From training, equipment, right, practice, all those different things. All of that stuff, I have a very clear vision on what that looks like, and I'll save the details of how I would separate that. And I would think from any head coach, again, I mean, I don't know how many new head coaches or first-time attempts at a head coach will have any other, any other qualification other than this is my game plan of how we're going to go affect it, and then we have to go execute it. When I didn't get brought in under under my set of way of doing things, right? As you're operating within, the boundaries that have already been placed. And so I would assume that's how every coach is gonna have that conversation.
It sounds like you want to change a lot.
We'll see. We'll see. I said this today, relationships matter. And, I think it gets lost in this world, but relationships in this game are really what it's all about. And I think the Damar Hamlin situation and how you saw the football community as a whole come together in small microcosms, that's what we're like, in these rooms. When somebody has something going on in their family, or somebody has something going on in their marriage, or whatever it is in their life, people surround them in love and in family and in friendship. And so it matters. And I told them how appreciative I was of building relationships with these guys. And it's kind of one of those things when you're in tough times, those relationships seem to build much faster. As far as an 8-game audition, again, like when you say 8-game audition, I'm an 8-game audition with a half an offensive staff, boundaries that you don't come in. So yeah, I mean, it's an 8-game audition with what you're kind of with the hands you're dealt, right? I've gotten, I wish we were better than 1-7, right? I'm sure everybody in that locker room and everybody standing here, it makes all of our jobs a lot easier if you win, right? Unfortunately, that hasn't happened. I'm not dissuaded by that. Could I be successful at doing this because of those first 8 games? A lot, like I just told you, it will be a different direction and a different vision that I'm carrying through, right? They help, when you're looking at this type of situation. Again, it's not ideal. I don't love losing. So, I hope anybody who sits up here in front of you can't stand to lose. But again, from the perspective of moving forward, one's not going to have much to do with the other. Yeah.
Regardless of who coaches this team next year, how far away from getting back to where they want to be do you think this team is?
Yeah, not nearly as far as y'all think. I've seen some articles here recently, so I can assure you, a lot of shots fired, and I don't think we're nearly as far off as you guys believe we are. There's been different situations when you've had the opportunity to close games, and different phases haven't, and for whatever reason, it's the habits that are built then. What does a closeout look like? When you're on the field and you're practicing and you're driving home the details of what that looks like, how do you get that accomplished? And I think that can be taught, coached, and we can be better at it again. But I think in totality is really where the most is made. The most is made.
Don't get the head coaching gig, would you be open to a position coach or front office role?
Man, I haven't thought anything about that, Kev. I mean, not even a little bit. I'm hoping to get it, and hoping to prepare, and it's all that first. Yeah, I will tell you this whole thing about the OCDC. I would, if I had been a coordinator for 5 years in the NFL or a position coach for 15 years in the NFL, I would not be either one and be a head coach. So I would be a head coach. I will hire an offensive coordinator. I will hire a defensive coordinator. I will hire a special teams coordinator, right? I am not one who wants to do, one of those jobs. And so I have a very clear, distinct way of what that would look like. I have a very distinct person or people in mind that I think would be excellent at the job and thrive in the job. And again, my job at that point becomes, how can I empower them to be their best, and what do I need to do to frame that? And so when I look at all of those things, DC, OC, I mean, it makes no difference to me, because I don't know who's coming in and who's going to try it and who's going to call it. I know the ones that I have in mind, and I think they would be up to the task. Guys come in and say, man, the competition that we bred, the energy we bred, the relationships that we put together and fostered in this short time, that, Coach, I appreciated, I benefited from it. That's the part where I felt like I could make the most, the most headway, and that's where I felt like I did.
Did you see this situation for an interim coach as different than other situations? Because like in Carolina, Steve Wilkes took over, they went 6-6.
Yeah, no, great question, right? And Steve I commend the heck out of what he did, right? I also know McAdoo, who's their offensive coordinator, and Campen, who's their offensive line coach, worked together in Green Bay for a number of years, right? So I would tend to believe a guy coming in after 9 weeks, walking into a room with a short offensive staff, and a guy who's walking in and been together for however long they've been together before and after should have a different level of success, right? So I do think as you look at things, you can go, man, this is how this went. And again, I respect the heck out of Steve and what he's done. And I love those two guys in particular. I worked with them in Green Bay. But not every situation is exactly the same when you get behind closed doors, right? And so how do you differentiate? That's a great question and a great answer, right? It's the same when you get behind closed doors, right? And so how do you differentiate? That's a great question and a great answer, right? Is they're not the same. And what you do in that short span of time, as you were already the defensive coordinator and in that building for that period of time, would tend to help you, I would imagine. Again, I've never been in a building becoming an interim versus a guy coming outside, but I would say that.
The 2 interceptions.
Yeah, the first one, the pick 6, unfortunately, they went to Tampa, so Shell had to take the underneath check down. 52 made a great play. Should have just thrown it away. And then second one, can't hold on to the ball that long. Thought I was going to have Paris coming back around the middle, and he came around and hit my hand. So but got to get the ball out quicker.
Is that something you're still learning to recognize things and get the ball out quicker?
Absolutely. It's a long process, and it takes a long time for young quarterbacks to develop. And I think part of that is coverage recognition and getting the ball out, because the D-line's really good, and you don't have time. So it's certainly part of the process.
How much of it is just, I know you've worked hard on it and looked at it in the film, but how much of it is just, it's different when it's game day?
All of it. I mean, you look around the league, it takes a long time for young quarterbacks to develop, and, some have longer leashes, and I understand that, but it's unfortunate.
What was this right fit for you this year? What's this been like?
As I've looked back at the season and processed everything that's taken place, I'm very thankful for it. It's been an absolute roller coaster, but it's a roller coaster that I loved riding. I love the guys on the team. I love all these coaches. The expectations were high and they weren't met, but we learned a lot about ourselves and as players. Obviously didn't want it to go this way, but we've learned a lot and we'll be better for it.
I remember before or during camp, you told us kind of a 2-year process with Tom. Will you work with them in the offseason again, and what does year 2 look like in that process?
Yeah, so we'll obviously got to sit down and do exit interviews to just kind of figure out what we need to work on. But I'll go out to San Diego to work with Tom, and it'll be the physical stuff. But then, talking with coaches and Chris, now it's the processing, the speeding up, the getting the ball out, and that's coverage recognition, that's understanding concepts, and like we said, reps. So working with him, focus on physical development, and then also, watching a lot of film to be able to diagnose coverages and schemes before it's too late.
Game reps, did you find yourself reverting back to the old at all, or a battle with that in game reps this season?
I think, I think that it's kind of a balance. It never reverted back to where it was all the way before, but it wasn't as perfect as it has been when there's no chaos around me. So I think that it's kind of a balance between the two.
Now, from your experience, just either high school, college, now in the pros, How long does it take you to really put a season to bed in your mind and really fully dive into preparation in the offseason for next year?
Yeah, I think a few weeks. Get away from it for a little bit, and take a step back, and then kind of go through it and diagnose and review. And you can learn a lot in that process by just kind of stepping away and looking back. So take a few weeks off, look back, and then it's right on to next year.
Sam, I know you hate the loss, but how nice was it to see DeMar's former teammates Rodney and Zach do so well today?
Yeah, obviously any positive news for DeMar, whether it be people associated with him, and then also the progress that he's been making, it's unbelievable. So for his two buddies to have a great day today, and then obviously the progress that he's making is very positive.